Welcome, everybody. As always, please do me a favor and let me know if the audio and visual is all good on your end. I assume it is, so I am just going to hop right into things here. Well, guys, what a sight for sore eyes it's been. Bitcoin has finally smashed all-time highs, and for the first time in a long time, you guys are about to see a bullish stew. I know it's been a while. I know you've been sick of my bearish opinions and all that sort of stuff. The thing is, guys, I just stuck to my plan. There was certain structure there. I was cautious at resistance level. Unfortunately, never caught that big swing short. I caught many scalps off that level, and that's fine. I'll actually talk about a couple that I ended up taking right near the end and how I was warning it's probably my last chance at grabbing a short. And I ended up taking some profits on those, but then I never caught the breakout. I never caught the big breakout to the downside. I did end up in a bit of a long to the upside. Caught that nice move yesterday. So I love to see it, you guys. I mean, just like everybody else, it's just that I had to be realistic while we were trading at resistance. I would always rather be cautious and be a seller at resistance. But now, you know what? Basically, all my red flags are now gone at this point. There's a couple very minor concerns yet that I'm going to talk about. But actually, that being said, guys, it's not even a concern anymore at this point. It's more so something that I'm going to be watching for moving forward as just basically to ensure that I'm not going to be completely blindsided by late FOMOing into this thing if things change quickly. But guys, I mean, there is a lot to talk about. I'm going to go over the main things about how I'm feeling with the market right now. I was actually going to do a stream yesterday last minute. And Tone ended up going live, so I did not at that time. And then I had somewhere else I had to stream. So here we are now. Just want to give you my thoughts before. I don't even know if I'm going to trade much this weekend, to be honest. But we'll see how that goes. This markets are volatile. I may change my tune pretty quick. But I probably won't be streaming for the next few days. So I just wanted to get my thoughts out there for you guys. Basically, guys, weekly, we have broken that our new resistance, right? We finally actually broke some resistance, getting a nice clean break. And we actually even broke that macro 115 that I was worried about. And that was basically my main concern, right? Until that STUBER fib on a macro scale gets invalidated, I was looking at being cautious at those levels. But now, I mean, yeah, pullbacks are very possible, but the structure of the chart has changed in a way that I really like at this point. So you know what? I'm not all too upset that I missed the move basically from 110K to 111K. I really don't care. Because I think there's going to be some very nice gains in the not too distant future here. That goes for Bitcoin. I also want to talk about the altcoins a little bit, you guys. But basically on this now, so this would be my macro chart, right? This is my weekly time frame that I've always been concerned about. Here's one thing. It's just the last little bit of a warning. I really think this is going to be broken any day now, but it may actually be early next week. We'll see what the weekend brings. But we do still technically have one of those nasty divergences on the RSI that is down basically from overextended to that 70 level. The thing is, guys, I feel much different about it this time because we don't have that same double top structure at this point. So I really can't say anything too bearish about this at this point. It's just something to consider if the RSI starts curling down and it starts to look like we're getting a bit of a rejection. We get a crazy swing fail on our weekly close on Sunday, you know, closing back down below 112K kind of a thing, then maybe I'll have some concerns again. And with the RSI divergence, that could be a little bit nasty as well. But we don't have that at this point. And to me, it looks like this RSI is actually going to break above that 70 level. And that's really the last piece of the puzzle for me to be like, yeah, there is a lot of strength there. I mean, obviously there is already, but that would just show with the indicators as well that there's not a nasty bearish divergence anymore, because we would be back in overbought territory, which in an uptrend in a bull market, generally speaking, that is where we get a lot of our biggest moves, is when the market is extremely overbought, right, on the weekly time frame. So that's what I'm hoping to see now. At that point, I mean, I'm already very bullish, you guys. I really think at this point that things are looking good. And again, not just for Bitcoin, but something to consider, guys. And actually, what I really like about this structure as well is, so before, you know how I had that very large fib pulled basically from down here, and I was saying that, it's still possible we end up going down to 83K. It was still very much a possibility. It did not mean we had to get there, but it's more so if we were going to pull back there, it would make sense because the structure of the chart is there, and there would be a nice support retest there if it happened. We never ended up getting that move. But now what happens is, since we've actually set another higher high, right? Because the only reason for that structure is because that was our high, higher high, lowest point between the two is there. So that was just a basic STUBER fib range setup, right? That type of a thing. But what we have now that we have another higher high, that means what's the lowest point between those two? Well, that's actually right here. So now we have significantly actually not just printed a higher low, but actually confirmed a significantly higher low here. And that changes the chart structure on the weekly for me drastically. And that's another reason why I think that this RSI will end up climbing a little bit higher. Again, it's something to keep on the radar, that we could see some sort of a crazy swing fail rejection with a bearish div kind of a thing. But as it stands right now, I think this just looks juicy because we now have that confirmed structure with us, right? So that's why you'll notice at the start of the video, I had a bit of a fib pulled like this. And just like that one with 83K, guys, I mean, this one would be targeting more around 102.7 thousand all the way down to 100.6 thousand US dollars. And the double bottom / swing fail zone would basically be 98 to 95,000. Yeah, even those numbers are far away. I have no idea if we're actually going to get there. But again, if we get down there with this type of structure, I think those would be beautiful buy levels at this point. Again, don't have to get there, but if we do, that would be a classic STUBER on a very large time frame. And I love that we have that structure now. So even if the price does pull back, at least we have some potential support there now that's been climbing up. So I think we're in a very good place, you guys. Bitcoin, looking at the 4 hour, same thing. So now I can get rid of this bearish STUBER, right? Because that one has been totally invalidated at this point. Guys, so pay attention to, so my red box here, right? This was my 115 swing fail zone here. Look what happened literally the minute we invalidated that 115. Right? That's where the market just went absolutely parabolic for those couple minutes and just went nuts. What did we end up climbing in 2 or 3 minutes? We went up like $4,000. Absolutely huge. And it's as soon as we broke that 115, right? I mean, that was my line in the sand basically, right? If we were going to break 114, 115,000, I really thought we were going to moonshot at least temporarily. But at that point, again, we just have such different structure now. I absolutely love to see what we are given here. So even at this point, if we end up pulling back, the good news is we have support from so many places, right? One would be the swing fail area that we ended up breaking. Maybe see that and end up seeing this resistance flip into support basically. Another thing to watch for would be, we have this order block down here, right? So if we get something like that, really just this whole little range here, we could watch for potential support. If we start dropping that, then, that's where we start targeting some much lower levels. But again, even that's that same range that I was talking about on the weekly chart, is from the bottom of this range, right? Because we have very clean structure here right now as well, you guys. Let me just erase these. Just to point it out to you here, is that we never had any sort of structure after that, right? We just got that little bit of a rejection there with that little swing fail, and then we pumped straight up. So we don't have any chop. We don't have any question about where this chart is at this point. We just have this as our high. This is our next higher high. So at this point, if we did drop, I mean, that's our higher low. There is no question about that. It's all very clean structure like that. And that's where, if we do end up seeing a pullback throughout the weekend and even into next week, if we see it, Again, don't necessarily be too upset or too frightened, because I think we're just building structure. And yeah, you know what? It may get very volatile now that we broke out and kind of created a new range. It may get very volatile for a while again. So those moves, they seem ridiculous that we could possibly go back below 100,000. But at this point, I mean, it would just be the size of range that I personally believe we're in right now. If we end up going higher from here, that's where we can once again start bumping up, right? If we end up starting to do something like that, we can then bump up our structure along the way. Basically, that would be our new higher low after so if we had our higher high, that would be our higher low. Create a new higher high, then we have a new confirmed higher low at that point, right? So basically, that's as we make structure like that, we can kind of start chasing the structure of the chart and just those confirmed higher lows, pulling new Stuber fibs, that sort of stuff. But it's when we end up losing this, right? Right now, we can lose this level and it doesn't matter because we haven't actually set that higher high yet. So this isn't actually my higher low at this point. So if we end up doing something like this, let's just say, just like kind of what I had mapped out there, and then we end up breaking that support, that's where I'm going to have to start pumping the brakes a little bit and just consider the possibilities that maybe this was just a little bit of a fake out, whatever. Again, guys, I don't really think so. And at that point, it's not even that I would necessarily think that it was a fake out or anything like that. It just means that we might have a little bit of a swing to the downside because structure might be changing a little bit on the 4 hour, which could play out for a relatively long time, right? Or what will feel like a long time if we're used to going straight in one direction, basically. So if we get one of these and that's our confirmed higher low and we end up breaking it like this, that's where I would be starting to consider possibilities of shorting retests, something like this, right? Because then we would have some new structure like that. Again, not so much that it would have to be a full-on reversal, but at that point we would at least have structure showing that there's some possibility that things might be taking a little bit of a bearish turn for a little bit again, right? But so far, everything looks great, you guys. I think this looks so good. Bitcoin, I do have this fib mapped out on the 1 minute. We got front run, or else we're still coming back down to that. I guess we'll see. Guys, I was talking about altcoins a little bit at the start. This is where things may even actually get better, is that in my last several streams here, in the Telegram channel, I was actually pointing this out right after we got our third touch point, basically on this upward sloping trend line, and looking for Bitcoin dominance to see a bit of a rejection. And so far, I mean, we got a perfect SR flip, right? We had 3 perfect touch points on the support. We end up losing it, turn it into resistance. Just absolutely beautiful there. So far, even on the micro time frame, we are respecting this lower high, right? Because low, lower, low, lower high, very micro structure there. But again, nice to see that we are respecting it so far. On top of this, you guys, is I was already kind of looking at Bitcoin dominance, hopefully coming to a rejection soon because of this purple line up here. And I can zoom way out to the weekly, and that is basically our large range. And we were getting very close to the weekly 786 on the Bitcoin dominance. So just another reason why I was kind of looking at it topping out relatively soon. So the exciting part, you guys, is that even with dominance, with Bitcoin dominance dropping like that, the price is still climbing. That's a beautiful divergence to have, because that just shows there's actual money flow coming in, right? Even though Bitcoin's not, people aren't panicking out of bigger assets and smaller assets and panicking into the safer assets. And, that money from Bitcoin is, a lot of people are taking profits on Bitcoin and spreading it out into riskier assets and higher reward assets like altcoins. But the price is still holding. So there is just a lot of demand there. And that's where I've been talking about for a while now, even while I was kind of bearish. Well, I shouldn't say kind of, when I was bearish on Bitcoin, or at least warning about the resistance, if nothing else. I was getting vocally more bullish on altcoins for that reason, that even if Bitcoin has topped, which at this point it doesn't really look like it has, but even if it had, generally speaking, at the end of a market cycle, that's when altcoins still play catch up a little bit, kind of get their last finale hurrah, however you want to look at it. And the fact that, you know what, Bitcoin was able to break resistance, that's even better for altcoins, and especially with Bitcoin dominance dropping like that, as I was saying. So actually, shortly before starting the stream, I opened a long on hype. We have hit my first take profit already, and I actually did end up sharing this in my Telegram channel, actually right here. Opened a bit of a scalp long on hype, and then, yeah, announced that I was going to come stream right away. So, yeah, if that is something that interests you, I mean, it's just kind of that Telegram channel. It's basically for those who are interested in trading based on charts rather than tweets and fundamentals, and just kind of want to try and stay one step ahead of the market, based entirely on price action, no emotions attached. And if you want just basically my overall thoughts on the market in general. So some of my trade setup ideas and that sort of thing. So yeah, if that's something that interests you, scan the QR code and yeah, sign up under me on BloFin. They are actually also currently giving this 15% cashback trading bonus for, or a deposit bonus rather. So yeah, pretty cool promotion that they got going for all of my followers right now for the next week or so. And that includes everybody, whoever's in my Telegram right now, you guys. That goes for new and existing members in there. So that is something available to you. You can scan that QR code as well. That should take you through the sign up bot as well. But yeah. Let me just minimize that. So like I said, with hype here, for example, hype is one that I've talked about in pretty much all of my streams for the last several months, you guys. Adrian, for you specifically. So yeah, this is a coin that I have been bullish on since about $18 or so, and it has been performing well. It's still basically in price. Well, it is still in price discovery because it actually set a new high. So whereas Bitcoin was actually at macro resistance, I mean, this was just setting new highs the entire time. So absolutely beautiful. And yeah, like I said, shared this entry basically a minute or two after taking it, as fast as I could mention it, basically in the Telegram there. And first target has been hit. So it looks like we're working our way towards my second target here. Actually want to zoom right into the 1 minute. Okay, so we just ended up setting a new high here. So, you know, we could even be chasing the price action. I'm going to set a little bit of a trigger order on this, you guys, so that if we end up breaking below the structure, I'll give a little wiggle room basically to about 45,963 to automatically lock in a little bit more profits if we end up losing this structure here. I just want to make sure I pay myself some more on this position. Stop losses also break even at this point. But yeah, like I've been saying, guys, I mean, I have been actually more bullish on altcoins than Bitcoin lately. So, you know, even the fact I did sell some of my Bitcoin at about 110K, some of it moved into altcoins, which actually outperformed Bitcoin. So I know a lot of people probably think that, Stu was bearish, therefore he got wrecked. That's not at all what happened. I just had to close some scalp shorts and buy additional altcoins basically with scalping profits. So I just want to, where was I talking about this? So guys, I was mentioning earlier that I wanted to talk about the last shorts that I did take basically. And it's basically when we were coming right up to that double top territory, right? I mentioned to the Telegram group, at this point, the only thing between Bitcoin nice breakout is the swing fail zone from about 112 to 115. If we test that pocket but fall back quickly, I will probably be swinging at one more short attempt, right? One more short attempt, because if we end up, actually there was one more that I was willing to take, but it never ended up happening either. But basically, yeah, we tested just above it. Got a perfect reaction off that. I was taking profits along the way, right? Taking profits on a third because the bulls may just end up stepping back in. Basically, MDX Trendmaster indicator gave me another warning. I took a little more profits. And yeah, then it basically, those got stopped out. Long took over. Notice I was talking about potentially taking another short here if we got another swing fail, but we just blasted right through that resistance. There was no test, there was no loss. It just went straight through. So again, no swing fail. Letting the rest of the long run. And basically, I just started pointing out some Stuber fibs, right? We got a nice bullish one there, and then we absolutely blasted the hell off. So very cool stuff, you guys. Bitcoin's been very exciting the last few days. And again, I was just letting the Telegram know basically about the Bitcoin dominance, right? Here's where I was warning about it a couple of weeks ago, I believe it was at this point. And yeah, perfect SR flip there. So just a few things I was mentioning. Also yesterday, as far as scalps, this was more of a continuation, but I was mentioning that, hey, you know, we broke this and it looks like we're going to fill that wick basically. And we actually did. We got right through and even went a little bit higher. Then same thing I was looking at on Ethereum, basically. If we end up breaking this level, I'm expecting a little shot up. And that's exactly what happened here. So things were just running beautifully yesterday, you guys. Will it happen? You know, will we continue running in a straight upward direction? You know, there's going to be some pullbacks, right? That's very natural. But again, everything looks so good to me. Another thing to consider here, you guys, is the Binance retail is, I don't know if these numbers are frozen or if they just haven't been climbing at all. But if this is still an accurate reading, Binance retail is only 31% long, so about 68.5% short. If that's the case, that is a lot of rocket fuel to continue pushing this higher, because generally retail is not on the winning side of things. Not to say I would trade based solely on this, but it's definitely something worth considering if there's still any fuel left in the tank. And if people are still desperately shorting, I would say there is still fuel. Greed 71, so it's starting to climb, but honestly, I think we can go higher than that. So not too worried at this point. Ethereum is, yeah, just kind of testing this Stuber pocket again. If you would have ended up taking a bit of a Stuber long here, you would have hit all 4 laddered entries, that's for sure. I'm not in a long on Ethereum at this point. I'm only in my hype long at this point. All my other trades are closed at this point. Other than spot, obviously. Which I should probably spot buy some random meme coins and stuff like that. I just want to, I should catch up on the chat a little bit here, you guys. Let me just throw on a couple indicators that hopefully entertain you that you can take a look at. Let's bring up the ALGO master. What do we got going on here? It has printed out a bullish Stuber fib here. I can see why it's saying that, but that's kind of in the middle of the range. I don't know if I'd take one there. I like mine a little bit more. Trendmaster, we have a buy signal, but it is a lower buy signal, right? So at this point, I would really want to see a sell signal broken. I'm just going to throw a couple things on here. We'll make my Stuber fib box. And why not? Little line of support here. And we'll get rid of a few things there. So basically at this point, whether we end up printing a higher buy signal or breaking the lower sell signal trend here, like another thing, what would be beautiful to see here is if we get another lower sell signal here. At that point, we would be able to move my blue line here, right? Because I'm just using that as a trend, using that indicator to point out the scalper's trend, right? It's just the 1 minute. But if we get a lower sell signal, then this would be our most recent pivotal point, basically. So we would have a nice invalidation there. So if we could then break that, that would be basically another signal that things look quite strong. But at this point, we'll just leave it there. Yeah, how are you all doing in the chat, by the way? I assume everybody is well. Everybody's loving this price action. Everybody's loving me shutting the heck up about all my bearish bedtime stories. Guys, if you do appreciate these streams, me talking about some of my strategies, that sort of stuff, please do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't. Again, guys, yeah, I know it's probably a breath of fresh air because I have been, warning about the bearish side for such a long time. And that's, again, it's not like I sold everything. It's not that I was hoping Bitcoin fails. It's just that I was more so looking at if I can catch a scalp short and it ends up turning into a massive runner to the downside, it's actually a reversal in the market. That would act as such a strong hedge against the portfolio. Because if that bear market would have come, the portfolio would have got wrecked as well, right? I mean, I'm not immune to that either. My spot holdings would have been devastated if we ended up getting that. However, being in a nice swing short to hedge against that is a very nice position to be in. It really helps you keep a level head. And obviously, that's the trade account, so a little different than the investments anyways. But yeah, that's more so why I was looking at finding that short position. I was mostly scalping shorts at that point just because we were at resistance, but most of them were hitting the first target or two anyways. And like I said, another thing I've been trading is more so spot on micro meme coins and stuff. No leverage with that sort of stuff, but they're so volatile as it is. So it's not that I've been bearish on the whole market, but more so just bearish on Bitcoin at the time because it was at macro resistance. That's all there was to it. But at this point, being basically all of my red flags have been lifted, I mean, I'm here with you guys. I just, at this point, I'm more so looking for bullish STUBERs, invalidations of bearish signals, and it's, reasons to go long at this point rather than what I have been looking for the last little while. I was still taking the odd scalp long and everything, but for the running position, I was more so looking for that hedge against the portfolio. But yeah, how are you all doing in the chat? Yes, I do understand that it is not above all-time highs in many other world currencies, but let's face it, I don't like it either, but Bitcoin and assets in general are, for the most part, measured in USD, right? I agree with what you're saying, but just how it is what it is. Ooh, scalp short on a few alts. Hey, Scumdog. Interesting. I mean, to be fair, I guess it depends what time frame you're scalping. Just try not to do the opposite of catching a knife, right? Don't just blindly short unless you actually have some sort of a setup. Like, I don't even overly trust my bearish STUBERs at this point. Not to say they won't play out. Chances are they'll still hit the first target or two, but I'm too scared to short at this point. Doge and SHIB. I can take a look at those. Just give me a minute. My bearish cases were tough to ignore. And that's the thing, right? And I feel like I was trying to do a good job of that, of being like, there was a strong case for the bears, right? I was still hoping we go parabolic. I'm still hoping we go parabolic. But I always was hoping that. However, looking at things responsibly, if there's bearish structure there, just at resistance, really. It's not like I was bearish the whole run up, but as soon as you start hitting those resistance levels, just like when you start hitting support, I would rather be a buyer at support. It fails sometimes and you end up breaking through support. That happens. You also break through resistance sometimes, but overall, I would rather sell resistance and I would rather buy support every single time. Took a little short on BUSDT on the 5-minute. TP1 hit. Nice. Love my strategy. Oh, that's a STUBER strategy. Nice. Love to hear it. Are you in the Telegram or you just learned it from the streams there? TT Bell. Yeah, Doge and SHIB. Sorry, let me bring those up after. Oh, nice. Hype is still looking okay. Ethereum still looking okay. Let's just give this the old doopy doop. Yeah, Doge was flying today, wasn't it? Any particular time frame you want me to look at on Doge and SHIB? I'm going to start with the 4-hour. Notice where we found support there. Absolutely beautiful. So, I mean, I haven't changed this from whenever someone got me to look at this last because I haven't been trading it. But that fib obviously played out beautifully, came down to that 886, touched it basically perfectly. And yeah, obviously we've hit the 0.5 fib. So target 1 already. Target 2 would be the 214, and that would be up around 23 cents. So that is still looking good in my opinion. Trendmaster, same thing, right? I was talking about those lower sell signals earlier. So as we had this sell and then a lower sell and then a lower sell. So this is where we would have had our lowest sell structure basically. And notice as soon as we broke that, it was a great confirmation that the downtrend was going to reverse, right? So a couple of things lining up with a case for that STUBER fib support there, right? Beautiful to see that. Liquidations levels, there is some high leverage liquidations starting to form below us. Something worth mentioning there. However, I mean, that can really keep growing. We'll have to see. That is just one indicator, right? Liquidation band, that is showing some nice support below us at this point. Curling to the upside. All these ribbons curling to the upside, but mostly that's this gold line here, or orange, whatever color that is. That would be the high leverage liquidations. Works a lot like a moving average, right? Price is just kind of drawn towards it. AI charting tools, just building a ton of demand below us on the way here. So notice there is this AI charting tools is pointing out some resistance up above us, and it actually lines up all the way towards that 214 STUBER fib there. So it actually starts a little bit lower. However, that's kind of where it's showing that we have the supply, right? Where people were willing to sell. But now that we're printing green boxes below us, building that support, are we going to get stopped by this? I guess time will tell, but that resistance looks like it starts right around 22 cents and goes up to about 23 cents approximately. ALGO Master, seen a lot of both, but I like that we also have this purple cloud below us filling up. That's just showing buyer volume stepping in. So that is nice to see. Everything's curling to the upside there. The auto STUBER fibs there are showing a bearish one. However, I agree with the bigger bullish one more so than this. So even if this does shut us down briefly, I still think things are looking bullish at this point. Yeah, so that's basically my thoughts on Doge. SHIB, you had said, I believe. I assume it is looking almost identical. So there's a couple, I don't know why this line's here. I guess I played it at some point. A couple different things I see here. One is a STUBER fib and one's a swing fail. I believe, oh yeah, both would have worked out for sure. So here's where we got our little bit of a swing fail, right? So if you had waited and set an alert on this support, for example, as soon as you lost it and reclaimed it really quickly like that, you would be able to get into such a nice tight stop loss type of a position because you've already tested that liquidity, right? You've already gone for that liquidity grab. So that would have been a great reversal there. Obviously, that's a little bit of hindsight, but that's what the chart is. And like I said, I think a STUBER probably would have played out quite well as well. Yeah, because obviously we weren't even close to invalidating it below the 115. So yeah, if you were laddering in entries, you would have hit 3 of the entries on a typical STUBER fib, right? 786, 886, and double bottom. So your average entry would be somewhere around the 886 if you played it like that. And notice we have just hit the first target basically, right? That 0.5 fib, that's, I'm going to call it 14. I can't even see how many zeros are there. I'm not going to say numbers on these ridiculous ones. But yeah, same thing as Doge. Basically, it's not looking so bad. Not looking too bad right now. In longs on alts, nice. Good man, good man. That's what I'm also looking for. GOAT and XLM on the 1 hour. Sure, GOAT. That would be that guy, I'm guessing. Oh, so that never even got a STUBER fib. That one, unless it did way back here or something, but no recent one, that's for sure. The structure looks good. Don't get me wrong. I do like that we obviously found support early. Like there would be a beautiful one off this level here, but was there any reason to pull one from there? I mean, you could. I don't know. It's not how I would typically pull a fib, but there is obviously some structure there. Obviously, like there's a whole bunch of important resistance support. I mean, we can go right back to this where we found support several times, found resistance here. So that was kind of flip-flopping. So the fact that we're above that, I mean, yeah, that's good to see. There's a lot of basically nothing's really jumping out at me on this one. However, it is just, staircasing higher at this point. Basically on this micro trend where we would have broke this micro trend would have been something like right here. And I don't know if it actually would have even got a STUBER fib there. No, not quite. So it got front run. But I mean, the thing is, you can always find smaller ranges. And obviously, there's more ways to trade, you guys, right? It's not like STUBER fibs are the only way. That's just kind of what I'm drawn towards right now and what I'm looking for. But even just like getting into positions a little bit late, right? Still trying to get those entries when the price has already started moving. Here's a perfect example that we obviously had a little bit of an uptrend. So here's where we had our high because, right, we broke the lower high of this very micro downtrend. So at that point, we had this high and a slightly higher high. So at that point, this is our new higher low, right? So you would have been able to find one. And I know, again, this is Captain Hindsight, but this is just for educational purposes, for something to do here. You would have got a beautiful 786 entry there. So now what you can do is obviously we ended up setting another higher high, right? So we have a new confirmed higher low, lowest point between the two most recent highs. And look where we find support, right at that 786, 886 fib pocket. Beautiful entries there. So there was several opportunities to get into a long on something like that. That's the GOAT 4 hour, right? As it stands right now, I don't really see like, yeah, maybe we're going to see a little bit of a rejection here, but even if it does pull back, and I know this is the 4 hour, I'm going to look at the 1 hour soon as well. I just want to kind of start zoomed out and work my way in. Trendmaster. So this is another beautiful site, right? As I always mention on the Trendmaster which way these are trending. Just notice as soon as we started printing higher buy signals, right? We got a higher buy signal and then boom, another higher buy signal even. So there was a couple opportunities there, but also the higher sell signals, right? So again, not that I take with any indicator, you guys, I typically don't just blindly take calls on one indicator signal on its own. But what I do love using indicators for is noticing trends. And I find this one is so nice at just bringing your eye to it because it's just so obvious, right? A higher buy signal. Oh, well, maybe I should be playing the long side at this point rather than the sell side. Or even if you don't want to play the long side, just maybe avoid shorts. If you're getting a higher sell signal, for example, well, they're trending to the upside. So yeah, you might get a little bit of a pullback, but it's trending up. So you're trying to fight the trend, right? So that's what I really like using these for. So yeah, that still looks good because that is obviously holding this, this buy trend really has support right at about that 0.5 fib. So around 11.5 cents basically on GOAT. But let's zoom into the 1 hour. That's what you wanted. We have lost a little bit of structure there. Obviously there was this, right? So that's a little bit of a warning. Again, it's microstructure, but right, we had our high, higher low, high, higher low, and we ended up breaking that recently, and we're now retesting it as resistance. So it's possible we get rejected here. It's possible we get a pullback and get some sort of a STUBER fib up around 14.5 cents. But again, I just don't know, especially with the 4 hour trend trending so aggressively to the upside and everything. I just don't know if I would be looking for those shorts. I'm more so interested in letting pullbacks happen. And when the lower time frames start breaking structure the other way again, then kind of getting back into things. And also even bringing up the trend master again, right? So we did lose this support, but we potentially have this support from this indicator yet. So maybe this is going to be a bit of a swing fail where we reclaim this level really quickly and continue to the upside, right? So I don't really have a strong opinion about the 1 hour on this guy. Kind of mixed signals there. ALGO master, yeah, it's showing a little bit of sell signal, or sell volume rather. Little of both though. AI charting tools, we're basically trading right at the, the daily open just happened a minute ago. That makes perfect sense. So again, guys, even if this ends up pulling back, for example, it just looks like there's so much demand down here. I mean, we have this is the AI charting tools again. Even if we end up retracing most of this move, there's demand boxes overlapping other demand boxes. Like that's why there's these bright green ones here. There's just so much demand down at these levels down here that I have a feeling any significant pullbacks, I'm looking at, them being short-lived and being eaten up basically. XLM, you also wanted XLM on le 1 hour. Holy smokes. Basically the same. No, different structure actually. This wasn't actually a higher low on the 1 hour because we never broke this high, right? It can still act that way. It's just for the way that I like to microanalyze a trend to look for STUBER fibs and that sort of thing. It just doesn't fit that we actually broke a higher low at that point. Not to say there isn't structure here. You could totally flip that support into resistance. It's just not something that I trade based on something like that is all. Yeah, we can see again with the AI charting tools, we do have some demand down at around 29 cents on XLM, but we're currently at like 36 cents. I mean, that's a pretty big drop if it's to happen. That's a 20% move to the downside if we get that. So that's kind of the thing, guys, as well, is understand that, yeah, when we're looking at certain structure levels and, well, that's pretty far away. Yeah, what the chart is giving us right now when we get these big breakouts, unfortunately, that means invalidations are also further away, right? Volatility's picking up when you get those breakouts. So another thing to consider is if you're playing with leverage, for example, maybe tightening up the leverage a little bit, maybe dropping it a little. I'm definitely not doing the old 69x trades right now, right? When I'm typically trading like 69x, now I'm trading more so 25, 20, which is still more than most people should, honestly. If you don't have a good grasp of position sizing and that sort of stuff, high leverage, very dangerous. Any leverage is dangerous. Trading period is dangerous. But yeah, in these volatile times, I've dropped the leverage a little bit. A lot. Let's bring up the trend master indicator here. So that would be a nice closer level of support, right? That would be starting right around 33.5 to 33 cents. There could be support there as well if we drop a little bit further. I want to actually zoom in Oh yeah, just look at all that demand in the markets. Anything you look at. So here's a good example that, you know what, there is a sell signal on this. And it's very possible that we basically come all the way back down, retrace this large move that we just had. This is just the 5-minute. But very possible that we end up retracing that. And basically, since our last buy signal was all the way down here, I mean, we could be looking at something kind of like this, pulling back to this fib down here. But again, being that the market is trending so aggressively to the upside right now, I wouldn't want to bank on shorting on something like that, expecting it to come down to that level. If anything, I'd be more so looking at, if we flip this into this blue line turns pink again and we get a new higher buy signal, then we have a new invalidation level. If we get that. That's obviously for those of you who have the MDX Trendmaster indicator. By all means, I know a lot of people don't like indicators or don't need indicators, whatever. I obviously use these every single day, and I just love using them for Confluence. If that is something you want to try out, there is a 10% discount in the description. That's the one. There's a 10% discount in the description for those of you who want to try the MDX indicators. But yeah, this is my favorite one, is that Trendmaster. Like I said, I just like using it to help spot a trend more than anything. ALGO Master does print auto STUBER fibs. However, it's good to understand how to do them yourself, so that you can notice if they are invalid. You know, sometimes they'll print and maybe they've already played out, or it's been invalidated already and it hasn't refreshed or whatever. So it's good to understand them before just relying on, you know, AI to do it for you. Did I do the daily on which Bitcoin? Ooh, Solana. I will look at Solana as well. But yeah, which daily? Are you guys talking about Bitcoin? I can look at Bitcoin's daily, since we just had a daily close and all. So the Bitcoin daily, I mean, nothing has changed compared to yesterday for me, other than strengthening the case for the bulls, because we never just turned this into a swing fail where we just got our close above and closed right back down below real quick. It's nice that we were able to actually stay above the highs for an additional day. I think that's good to see. Again, a pullback isn't necessarily off the table, but I do think the overall trend, I really think that any pullbacks are going to start getting bought up quicker and quicker. A couple levels of support on the daily, if we end up seeing a pullback, would currently look something like this. Couple levels to watch there, basically. Ooh, good question. Where do I see the next bear market low for Bitcoin if the price this cycle hits 180K? That's a good... Here, let's just make this 180. So let's say that is where the cycle tops. If that's the case, a lot of ifs right there. If that happens, I would pull a fib and I'd look for a STUBER fib, and I think that we would bottom around 50 or 51K. I know a lot of people probably feel triggered by that statement. Again, there's a lot of what ifs between now and then. And I know everyone thinks that this cycle's different because there's way bigger players and there's way more money in the space. That has literally been the case every single cycle so far. Every cycle has much larger players in with much larger amounts of money in it. And typically speaking, the market cycles do the same thing, right? just like, that's the thing, guys. Like when I'm looking at the market structure, you know, on the 5-minute or the 4-hour or anything else, I mean, I generally treat market structure the same. It doesn't matter what time frame it is. So the weekly, I have to treat the same. If, you know, if a market cycle is our swing, well, I'm still looking for that 786, 886. And much like what I was talking about on the 4-hour before, it doesn't have to happen. It's just happened 100% of the time so far. And that is with much larger players every single cycle. It does seem like we're getting slightly shallower in, right? Like this first retrace, we went very close to the 886. Next cycle, we went basically right to the middle. Last cycle, we went just slightly below the 786. I have a feeling this market cycle, wherever we top, is going to be the 786. Like if it happened right now, for example, I think we would bottom around 38K. But now that it looks like we're going higher, if 180 is the target, I think we would come back to around 50. Doesn't have to happen, obviously, if we change market structure early, right? Let's just say we do something like this, blah, blah, blah. Oh, actually, let me redo that. Got a little bit aggressive there. If we do something like this, top at 180, start setting lower lows and lower highs, and we don't quite get to the 786, and we do something like this where we break that market structure, at that point, I would consider the possibility that we're not quite going to get all the way there. But at that point, I would be watching the structure either way. But just as far as fib levels, that's kind of what I'd be looking at. Let me know in the comments how that makes you guys feel. $40 to $60K. Yeah, you did. How's Hype doing? Hype? Ooh, we got real close to my second take profit. Very close. I think it was like 483. Getting very close. Actually going to bump this up a little bit. Bump up my trigger order a little bit. And if we hit my take profit up here, I will remove that trigger order, because I'll just be taking profits up a little higher then instead, and then letting some of the position run if it happens. But yeah, so far this hype long is playing out absolutely perfect. Again, guys, this was shared live. I don't share every single one of my trades, by the way. I would be sitting there typing absolutely nonstop. And one of the reasons I trade is so that I don't have to be super busy all day, every day. But this is one of, you know, just in general, I'm sharing a lot of my setups, just how I look at market structure, how I pull my fibs, just levels I'm watching, what I'm thinking on the market in general. Some of my trade setups, like this one here, basically right after I took it, right, I just posted it there. And yeah, it's nice to see that we've already hit one target. And this was laid out just before starting our stream, guys. Like I said, for those of you who do want to join my Telegram and sign up and trade on BloFin under me, there is currently this 15% deposit bonus that you get. I believe it's 3 days after the event ends. But that is running this week, and that's new and existing members to my Telegram group there. But yeah, like I said, guys, just sharing a lot of random posts there. Yesterday in general, I was posting quite a bit because obviously the markets were heating up and it was very exciting to see for once. So yeah, a lot of those calls playing out yesterday. So love to see it. But yeah, other than that, my friends, I think that's about all I wanted to go over today. So hopefully you guys did find this stream useful. At the very least, hopefully you found it entertaining. And if so, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't, so you don't miss these streams. And yeah, other than that, guys, thank you so much for joining me once again. We'll see. I probably won't be streaming the next few days. I'll probably be posting in the Telegram a little bit, but also got to be paddleboarding and all that sort of good stuff. So we'll see how much I'm actually looking at the charts. But yeah, with that, my friends, stay safe out there. Peace.